Hey, everybody. Buenas noches.
Buenas
So
noches.
happy that everybody could join us tonight. I know there had been some problems with my mic previously, so if I am not loud enough, y'all, please let me know. Um, we are talking about Guadalajara, Mexico tonight, and a few other things. If you have been on my channel or any of my social media, you know that my love for Mexico and Mexico City run pretty deep, but I have not historically had a lot of good stuff to say about Guadalajara. And I felt like I am not trying to make everybody love what I love. So I thought, why not find somebody who likes Guadalajara, have them come talk to us. Um, this also is because, what was it? 2 weeks ago, I think I was on Rashida Dow's channel, and we were talking about different places you could live in Mexico. And she does not love Guadalajara either. And
Goodness.
so and so I am open to giving it another shot. So I'm not like writing it off completely. There are some places that I'm like, nope, not gonna happen. So that is why I have my guest here, Alexis, who is coming to you all live from Guadalajara, Jalisco, right now. So before we jump in, I forgot I'm supposed to introduce myself. This is what I was saying about. I forget these things. If you are watching the replay or you are new to the channel, hello, hello, hello. For the new folks who might not know me, my name is Adelia Borishade, also known as Picky Girl Travels the World. I am a financial educator and coach who has made it my life's mission to help Black women master their money and develop financial confidence so that they can live the life of their dreams. I am also the founder of Picky Girls Travel Solo, which is a Facebook group for Black women and femme solo travelers. Doesn't matter if you are brand new to solo travel, if you are an OG, super experienced. We welcome all levels of experience to the group. What else am I supposed to say? I think I'm supposed to talk about how I've been living abroad. I mentioned I live in Mexico. Uh, I was like, is there something I'm promoting? But last week was a busy week. Lots of workshops last week. Right now, I'm chilling. I'm going on a trip tomorrow, come back from that trip, go on another one, come back from that, go on another one. So I don't think I'm like doing any for real work for the rest of the year, y'all. So here we are. Okay. So, for
Like,
those of you that are joining us here in the live, if you've got questions about Guadalajara, please drop them in the chat and we will do our best to answer them. Ivana still needs to visit. Auntie Lou has Guadalajara on her list. I saw somebody else who was trying to decide between Guadalajara, Guanajuato, or Lake Chapala.
oh,
Oh,
okay.
all right, all right. So, um, you currently live in Guadalajara, Mexico, but this
Yes.
is not your initial landing place outside the US.
No, it's not. So I can just go ahead and go into it. So for those who know me, I am known as She Just Left on Instagram and YouTube. Most people know me as the girl that lived in Vietnam. So I initially actually left America when 45 became president, and I moved to Qatar. My baby brother got sick, so I came back to the States for about a year and a half. And then after that, I bought a one-way ticket and moved to Vietnam. I lived in Hanoi, which is the capital. When I moved over there, initially I was supposed to stay in Hanoi just for 1 week, and then I was going to go down to Ho Chi Minh City for a week and decide which city worked best for me. But once I got to Hanoi, I was like, you know what? it works out here. I was so tired. I kind of met a few people already in the week I was there. And so I just decided to get an apartment. I had an apartment within 2 weeks, and Hanoi became my home.
How long were you in Vietnam?
I ended up staying 3.5 years.
Wow.
Mhm.
I've not been to Vietnam. And when I lived in China, that was, in theory, one of the places I was going to visit. But being the traveler I am, I'm loath to admit this, but the fact that you gotta like apply for a visa and whatnot, I was like, where can I go that's visa free? I didn't want to put
Yes,
in the
yes.
work.
Yeah. But for Americans, we actually qualify for the 1 year multi entry visa in Vietnam. And so that's what was appealing to me, as opposed to like Thailand. The expats there run into a lot of visa issues. But in Vietnam, we get the 1 year multi entry visa, which means we don't have to reapply, but we do still have to leave every 3 months. And so that
Hmm.
can just be a quick and easy visa run outside to Cambodia or anywhere and come right back in. And during the visa runs, that's when everybody uses that as just time to travel anyway. So I did appreciate that about Vietnam. It made living there so easy with the visa situation.
Okay. And so you were in Vietnam for 3.5 years. How'd you end up from that side of the world over here in Mexico?
Yes, okay. So I stayed in Vietnam a lot longer than I thought I would. When I first moved there, I thought, maybe I'll stay 6 months. It'll be my home base while I travel around Asia. So I did a lot of traveling around Asia. And then I kept saying, I'm going to leave like May of 2020. Like that was just set in stone for me. Then that crazy thing happened in the world. And I was actually in Myanmar when Vietnam was getting ready to lock down. And so I'm in Myanmar living my best life. I still had like 3 days left in the country. And I get on Facebook and I see the people saying, like, if y'all not in the country, y'all need to come back now because you're not going to get back in. And my
And I
life was in Vietnam.
and I would
So
not want to
I
be
got on the
locked
phone.
down in Myanmar.
Yeah, especially everything that followed in the country afterwards. I'm so happy that I got out. But I ended up going back to Vietnam. And during that time, though, I was on Instagram and Facebook and just kind of watching the news at how everything was going on in the States. So I was like, oh, I ain't gonna have no tissue when I get back to Vietnam. People gonna be fighting over grocery. Like, what's gonna go down? And I got to Vietnam and everything was still normal. Like there was hours and hours of tissue. There was not a shortage of food. We had bleach for days. So I kept looking at the States and I was just like, you know what? I actually feel safer here in Vietnam. So I decided to wait out the whole pandemic in Vietnam. And just after that, life just went back to normal so much that I was not in a rush to get back to the States. And then finally, I said, I think it's time for me to travel Latin America. So I do need to go back and kind of find me a home base somewhere. And so I came back here. I got to the States I think December 30th. And I was planning to stay in the States for 2 weeks and didn't even make it 2 weeks. I was there for 13 days. um, I told my bestie, I was like, girl, I'm not ready yet. I need a minute to go get my mind back. I have not been over here in a long time. I'm just going to fly to Mexico for a week. I'll be back. I flew here for a week and ended up staying 2 months, though. So that's how I ended up back over here.
I had a similar experience. I was living in China, of course, as things popped off, and I happened to be traveling for Lunar New Year. I was in Europe. I'm watching everything that's happening. And when I get back to China, I am expecting, I I came from Prague. And so before I left Prague, I actually went grocery shopping and I bought an additional bag because I was like, I don't know when I'm coming home to. Am I going to be able to get anything to eat? I knew like getting deliveries was going to be a hassle. So I brought back groceries with me. And then I get back and it's like, oh no, the grocery stores are fully stocked. There's no problems. You know,
Exactly.
like, yeah, no issues at all. Um, okay. So coming back to the United States, a little bit of culture shock.
Definitely reverse culture shock for sure. It was just I still don't do well going back to the States. Now that I'm in Mexico, I went back way more than I could ever have imagined. The whole 3.5 years I lived in Vietnam, I only came back one time, and that was during Tet holiday. I was supposed to stay 30 days. Again, I didn't make it a full 30 days. I flew to Mexico during that time. But it was just, it's, America is just different. And once you get out, I mean, you just can't accept certain things. The energy, I tell people this all the time, the energy is just so heavy for me. And so, yeah, I got back and it doesn't feel like home. It's where I'm from. It is my home, but my home is wherever I make it in this world. And it's just right now, it's not America, and it probably never will be. But I just did not feel right. So I came here for what was supposed to be a week. I stayed 2 months. And that's when I decided the country that I was supposed to move to was supposed to be Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but because of a decision I made, I was not able to go to the country. So Mexico was open for everyone. I was here. And I traveled all through Mexico in that 2 months, and I really thought I was going to move to Merida. So I took a bus from Cancun to Merida. I met some of the Black expats there. We hung out. We had a great time. It is a great city, but I just felt for me, being single and a little bit younger, I just didn't think it was perfect for me. It's a great city, I think, for like families, retirees, and things like that, but it just didn't fit me 100%. I also
What
went to Playa del Carmen. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what time of year were you in Merida?
From I think I got there. It had to be January. I think it was
Okay,
January.
so by March it's 100 degrees.
It was crazy hot in January as well. That was another reason. I didn't even bring the. Thank you for reminding me. I don't know why that wasn't the first thing. The heat is wow. I remember like trying to walk against the building to get a piece of the shade that was over. I'm like, I'm from Texas, but I cannot do this. It was very hot there, so that was a main reason as well.
Okay, so you visited Merida, you visited Playa del Carmen. I know you spent some time in Mexico City.
Mhm.
Where else in Mexico did
I
you
think we
visit?
paused. Hello.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. During that time, so Playa del Carmen was basically my home base.
We're going to see.
Are you hearing me?
Okay, no. Last thing we heard was Playa del Carmen was my home base. That's the last thing we heard.
Okay, I can keep talking then. It was still going. So yes, Playa del Carmen was my
Uh-oh.
oh.
We're going to hold on. There you go.
Okay. So Playa was my home base, and I went from like Playa to Tulum, Tulum to Cancun, Merida. Then I flew to Mexico City because I was really thinking, okay, Merida didn't work. Let me give Mexico City a try. I had booked 4 nights in Mexico City, but I ended up staying 8. I really, really liked Mexico City. I met some people there. I was in Polanco, Roma Norte, went to the museums and kind of went around, but for some reason, Mexico City didn't just have me 100%, but it was number one on the list. So after going to Mexico City, I went back to Playa del Carmen. I spent my birthday in February, and then I flew back to the States because I had an appointment to get my temporary residency. I knew that I was going to move to Mexico. I just still didn't know what city I'd be moving to. So I got my temporary residency. I stayed in the States for 1 month, and I'm like, I have to decide where I'm going to live. So I was in all of the Black expat groups for Mexico on Facebook, and I was just looking through all the different communities, seeing what they posted. And Guadalajara kind of started peeking out a little bit. It seemed like a smaller community, but people just seemed to really like it here, the people that lived here. And I have a friend, Monica, from Hanoi that had been living here for almost 2 years. And I'm like, she seems to like it. So I packed all my bags, one-way flight to Guadalajara, and it worked out. I got here, it kind of sucked me in. I met everybody. We went out for dinner and drinks and Pilates. I was invited to Pilates, and I'm like, wait, this is kind of cool. And so I've just been here since. I really liked it from the first time I got here.
Okay. And there's several people who are joining us tonight who are there as well.
What's up,
Uh,
Guadalajara?
excuse me. Firefly Odyssey is there as well. D. Watt loves Guadalajara. I would love to hear why you love, and I'm not saying it like no one else can. It just did not wow me
What
when
you
I visited.
love?
Okay, my big issues. Because okay, this is why I went to Guadalajara. I was living in China, and uh, everybody knows China was not going to be the last stop for me. And my best friend even said, your quality of life was so much better in Mexico. Like, you
Mm,
know, that's the obvious place. But Mexico City is not cheap, you know,
it isn't either. It isn't either.
it isn't. And I had lived here before and I knew prices had gone up. So I was like, if I could find a big city, because I am not a beach girl. I do not want to live in a little pueblo and like I don't want to be up in the mountains. I need to be in a big city. Um, I was like, well, maybe Guadalajara could give me the things that Mexico City does, but at a better price point.
Mm.
So on summer break in from China, I swung by the U.S., got my residency, came, kicked it in Mexico City, and also spent some time in Guadalajara. My first issue was it was warmer than Mexico City,
Hey.
and I did not love that. I do not love the heat. I too am from Houston, and I am at a point in my life where I don't want to do heat nor humidity. So I was not loving that. The other thing was, I guess the vibe wasn't there. And I
Mm.
don't know if it was I just was there at not a great time because I what I did was I went to Oaxaca for the Guelaguetza,
Hey.
came
Oh, wow.
came back, picked my dog up from Mexico City, and then we went to Guadalajara. And so like I don't know if it was because I was coming off of that,
Yeah.
like maybe in comparison to that, like it wasn't working,
Yeah.
and trying to find things to do.
Okay.
Mexico City is one of those places that there are always things happening, but you know, on a random Sunday, we turned down one street downtown and came up on like this Aztec sun god celebration where there were hundreds of people in traditional dress and they're dance. Like that's the kind of stuff that just happens on a Tuesday around here. And so um when I would ask about like, well, what is there to do? Every suggestion I got was to leave Guadalajara, go to Tlaquepaque,
Tequila,
go to
sake.
Tequila, go here, go there. Nobody ever said, oh, go check this place out in Guadalajara. So, like I said, it just didn't wow me from the jump. So, I don't know. It seems like it should give me big city vibes.
Yes.
It seems
Um,
like it should, but it didn't.
so what I'll say to that, and I see a question that was asking about shopping and food, and I do want to answer that because that's
Yeah.
all I do.
I've
Um,
I've I've starred that. I've starred those questions. So we're gonna come
okay.
back around to those.
I would say just how you mentioned in Mexico City, just going down the street and there's this. It's kind of like that here. Like you go down the street, there's a market. I do think Mexico City, being Mexico City, probably does have a lot more. But Guadalajara, what I love about it, it's such a big city, but it feels so quaint. You know, you have the main neighborhoods that expats like to live in. I live in Colonia Americana, which just won some award for the top neighborhood.
Yeah, and I got issue with that list.
Let me
I
tell you,
got I got real issues with that
I live in
list.
the number one neighborhood, but I would say I've been to some neighborhoods around the world that I'm like, I don't know. But I'm happy that my neighborhood's on that list. Um, but there is a lot to do. And like today, I linked up with a local girl. She's a photographer. And she's like, Alexis, the biggest book fair in the world is coming here next week. You should go to that. I went to a mixology festival that I saw just pop up that was not marketed well at all. And I ended up going, and it was literally one of the best events I've been to in my entire life. My followers probably see my stories. There's always fireworks going. I get a fireworks show from my balcony all the time because there's always celebrations going. But there's always so many things to do. I think you do have to want to find them. I'm in the groups on Facebook that lets me know what's going on in Guadalajara. But again, I understand. I think Mexico City probably has what we have on such a larger scale. But what I just was missing in Mexico City was, I guess, that quaintness that I loved even about Hanoi. It was a big city, but still felt quaint as well.
Yeah, I would agree that I would not use the term quaint
Mhm.
to describe Mexico City. Because I guess I sometimes will see people comment about like they are concerned coming here that it's just going to be too big and too fast paced and all of that. And I don't see it that way at all. But if quaint is a thing you want, I can see why Mexico City does not give that. I
Yeah.
can definitely see that. Okay, so you were uh still looking for a place to be. Mexico City wasn't it. You knew somebody there. You bought a one-way ticket to Guadalajara, and
Mhm.
you got there.
Yeah.
And from the jump, were you like, "Oh, I can do this. This
Yeah.
might be my spot."
Yeah, normally, as a solo traveler, you're kind of filled with anxiety before you go to a new country. But as soon as you touch down in that country, you get that like, okay, I'm here, it might work. So as soon as I got here from the airport to my Airbnb, everything went pretty smoothly. And then once I got here, actually, that's when I told my friend Monica, I was like, hey, Monica, I'm in Guadalajara. I'm thinking about moving here. And she's like, what? Meet me after Pilates at this place. And she had another girl with her. And like, we all just, hit it off. And so from there, they just told me the things to do. I joined Pilates. I've joined the gym. I started getting out, walking around. My Airbnb ended up being in this neighborhood as well. I met some other people. And I mean, I'm not kidding. Just from the first outing, I was just like, I'm staying here. It worked out. When I first went to the market to buy groceries, I love that it was right down the street and it was a great market and the prices were fair. So everything, I've just loved it since I got here, honestly.
Okay. Always Kay says that Guadalajara has a community vibe. People recognize you and it's very welcoming.
Absolutely.
You would think that that should be a selling point. I don't know if I want to be someplace where folks are recognizing me on the
I don't
street.
care if you recognize
I don't know, but I'm funny acting, so y'all ignore me. I'm sure those of you that are normal are like, oh my gosh, I would love to live in a place like that. Okay. Uh Big town, small town vibe.
Mhm.
Maybe that was my issue. I don't know, like I said, I am open to giving it another try. Um now I wanted to talk about this. You can also get around quite well. The traffic isn't horrible.
Yeah.
Yes, the traffic in Mexico City is horrific. One of the many reasons I don't drive here, but you can get around well. How? Because there's just two metro lines. And
So, oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
It's funny that they mentioned this. So just was it this morning or yesterday morning? My taxi driver, one, they're very proud of Guadalajara. The locals are very proud of this city. And so he was asking me, and I told him I almost lived in Mexico City. And he's like, no, the traffic is horrible there. I'm like, you are right, sir. So here, I actually have not taken the metro here at all yet because for me, there's just no need to. I take Uber for everything or Didi, and I also believe they have InDriver here, but I use Uber and Didi. The prices for me, they're nowhere near as cheap as Vietnam, nowhere near, but they're still relatively cheap. So In the mornings when I go to Pilates, that's a 15-minute drive. I pay anywhere from 49 pesos to 69. And sometimes I've even got it for 39. So that's like $2 to $5 or $6 at the most. Um, what I do is I just look at Uber as my gas budget, what I would spend in the States. And we know gas right now in the States is ridiculous. So even taking the Ubers and the DDs every day for everything I need, I still save money in comparison up to what I would use on gas. So that's how I get around.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I think maybe you answered this question. What other cities did you have on your list and what made you choose Guadalajara?
Oh, okay. But cities, I will say I wasn't looking to move to Mexico at all. Actually, when I left Vietnam, I was planning on moving to Colombia. I wasn't sure would it be Medellin or Cartagena, but Colombia is where I was gonna move. But just when I came here, that 2 months and kind of traveled around, I've always liked coming to Mexico to visit. But I was like, you know what? I think I can live here, and so that's what made me decide to live here.
Did you was the plan to get residency in Colombia?
I hadn't even got that far. I didn't
Okay.
pursue their residency, but once I got here, I started hearing about the residency. And when I looked it up and saw that I qualified, I said, "Oh yeah, we're doing that."
Yeah, I just asked because I used to live in Honduras, and I was thinking Honduras was never going to be the place for me permanently. It was a temporary situation. And so, as I was considering places to be more long term, it was between Mexico and Colombia, and it was between Mexico City and Medellin.
Mhm.
And I've kind of always wondered because I've not been to Medellin yet. I've been to Colombia, but not there. Like I hear there's a lot on paper that is similar about them. But one of the things I rarely hear anybody talk about is getting residency in Colombia. So that's why I was curious because I know the process from Mexico is fairly straightforward.
Yes.
And while it's not as affordable as it used to be, it is still not that, like the what's the word I want to use? The requirements are not that stringent
Yeah. Yeah.
compared to some other places.
Right.
Um, so that's why I was asking, just curious about that. Okay. We had a question about food shopping in Guadalajara. Do you visit local markets or just go to supermarkets?
Yes. Great question. Okay, so I am an advocate for fully um, just putting yourself inside of a country. I shop at the market. I literally just went today to pick up fresh shrimp and fresh fish. I get all of my fruit from the market. I live in a great area where there's just a market. It's about a 10-minute walk from me. And I mean, the market has everything you can think of that's just fresh. The prices are really fair. But of course, if you lived overseas, you know that you're going to always get a different price than the locals will. But you can still talk them down. I don't even do that because for me and my budget, I think they give me a pretty fair price anyway. So I don't mind the prices at all. And they are everywhere is walkable. And there's so many markets around the city depending on what neighborhood you're at. So you're going to always find a market. But I will say this for Guadalajara. Guadalajara is a very advanced city. It's a very affluent city. So there are really great supermarkets here. I do shop at Fresco.
I
And
love a fresco. I
listen,
do love a fresco.
the first time I went in Fresco, I was so caught off guard because in Vietnam, they didn't have just everything we could get in the States. You did have to shop at a store that brought in import goods. I remember like my suitcase was so heavy when I left the States because I had two big things of Hidden Valley Ranch dressing that I had not had for 3.5 years in Vietnam. And I'm like, I'm have this. I go in Fresco and it's there. And I was so shocked. But Fresco literally has everything. So if there's just something that you're gonna need, I would say that's just one grocery store. There's also Chedraui and City Market. They have great supermarkets here for people that don't like market shopping.
Now, the when you talk about the market you went to, is this like a fixed market? It's always in that like is it in a building
It's in a
or is
building.
it kind of okay? Because here in the city, each colonia probably has a physical market.
Yeah.
But then we have weekly markets, tianguises. I don't even know if that's the
Yes, the
plural.
TLC.
And so I don't know. Do they? I don't, because tianguis I know is the singular. I don't know what the plural is. Do they have anything similar to that in Guadalajara as well?
All the time. Yeah. So
Okay.
I did go to a really nice market outside of a breakfast spot in Mexico City, and it was so nice. I did actually have a. If you guys go to my Instagram, there is a video of that market I went to in Mexico City. But here, so they have their regular indoor. This one's a big indoor market, and they have things outside. Then they also have pop up markets with food and vegetables, fruits, and then they have just markets all over the city of everything you can think of: records, record players, and records, clothes, plant markets, flower markets, all the markets. They old stuff, vintage things. They have all the markets here. Yeah, and they just pop up. Sunday is like market day, really Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. All right. We've had several questions about what languages you speak and do you speak Spanish?
I speak a little bit of German because I grew up in Germany for 7 years. And right now I'm actually learning Spanish. It is basura at this point, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, it takes time. It takes time. It's still a struggle. Maybe one day it won't be, but for me right now, it's still a struggle. Okay. Um, where, where's another question we had? Okay, I can take that one off. I want to walk to grocery stores, restaurants, shopping. Is that possible in Guadalajara? This is something I loved about CDMX.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, today, some days when I just don't feel like it, the market is literally a 12-minute walk from my house. But I could catch Uber, but today I felt like walking. So I walked, got everything I needed, and came back home.
Okay. All right. Um,
Oh, can I know someone asked about shopping, just not
yeah.
groceries. It'll get you in trouble here. It has everything. It'll get you in trouble. I shop a lot. That was something I was not able to do in Vietnam. Vietnam are some of the most petite Asians. And so there's just not, you could go to the mall, they had like an H&M or maybe an Old Navy, I think, but there was just, shopping was non-existent there. So I'm here, you have ASOS, you have all types of stores here. It's really, really great shopping here, as well as Mexico City. But Guadalajara, it will get you in trouble with the amount of great restaurants we have here and great clothes shopping.
Okay. Now, you live in Colonia Americana, which was ranked number one neighborhood in the world on this suspicious and questionable list. Um, what other colonias would you suggest if somebody was considering Guadalajara?
I would suggest Providencia, Chapalita, and Country Club. And I think those are the top three. So it would be Colonial America, and these are just the ones when expats are coming from like America in Europe. These are the ones you're always hearing: Colonia Americana, Providencia, Country Club, Chapalita, and then outside of the city would be Zapopan. And it's just like a suburb, and Zapopan is really, really nice, especially if you have a car. If I had a car, I would probably move out to Zapopan.
Okay. All right. Um, do you foresee yourself getting a car or driving, or nah, you're not about
I
that life?
I considered getting a motorbike, but that's me still in my Vietnam mindset. I was like, maybe I'll get a motorbike first, and if I decide to stay longer, I would bring a car here. But right now, I mean, there is just no need for it. Uber gets me everywhere I need to go for cheap.
Okay. All right. Opting out says I've been to Guadalajara twice and love it. It has a laid back small town feel. I've jokingly said I was going to move there, but as a Black woman, I was worried about employment and housing.
Mhm, mhm. Um, I would say not. So this is for anybody: Black, white, male, female, expats. there are opportunities for foreigners to find work in the city, but it's just not as easy. I've met people who their company is based in America, but they also have a branch here. So that's how they're getting transferred here for jobs. But I just want to be clear that, you know, as foreigners, we can't just go to foreign countries and just get work like that, especially legally. Most people that lived in Vietnam, they were teachers, English teachers. So maybe, I don't know if they have a lot of English centers here that are kind of under the table like there, but that's an opportunity. But what I would say is try to make sure that you have your financials in place or your employment in place before you come, and then you will be good to go. But finding housing was, again, it was very easy for me. You can just get in the expat groups or get in the housing groups. I found my apartment within, I think, a week and a half of me moving here.
Let me ask you this, because I was just having this conversation with somebody today who is moving to Mexico City and in the process of apartment hunting. Apartment hunting in this city can be, uh, it can be, it can be some work.
Mhm.
And in particular, a lot of people get discouraged because Mexico City landlords are not really interested in short term rentals. Uh,
Right.
if you are looking for something less than a year lease here, I think you will struggle. Is
Oh,
that the
wow.
case in Guadalajara?
No, and I'm in the Mexico City WhatsApp group, and I see people talk about that. Sometimes I do think it is a little bit harder to find apartments in Mexico City, and that was another reason I didn't move there. For the budget of, I feel, what's offered in Mexico City, it was not on the same level to me personally what I could get in Guadalajara. I signed a 6-month lease when I moved here. I actually didn't even have to have a guarantor because I know that's one of the biggest things. I'm like, I don't know anyone here. My friend Monica is married to a local man, but he was not able to do that. So my landlord, I told her, I gave her my financials and she sent it to the owner. And she said, as long as I was able to pay 2 months of rent up front plus a deposit, she gave me the apartment just like that with no Mexican person on my lease or anything. And I was able to sign up for 6 months. So I
Did you
definitely,
did you request or did you ask for a 6 month lease, or is that what they were offering?
yes, they were offering a year actually. And I said, I don't know how long I'll be here for sure. Do you know if they'll take 6 months? And they took 6 months.
Yeah, that's very rare here.
Mhm.
And I know part of it is, and because remember, even though Mexico, and this is not for you, this is for everybody watching, remember that while Mexico City and Guadalajara are both cities in Mexico, they are in different states. So it's the equivalent of saying, like, what are the rules in Atlanta, Georgia
Yeah.
versus Houston, Texas? And in
Mhm.
uh, Mexico City, squatters have a lot of rights. It's very hard for a landlord, if somebody is occupying their property, it's very hard for them to get them out, which has kind of created this
Mhm.
environment where landlords are very picky. They don't want people who they think are going to be short term. They want a guarantor, or because they want to know that, or they'll make you get an insurance policy that'll pay them if you don't pay the rent, because they want to know that if you're not who you present yourself to be, like, I'm not going to be out my money while I'm trying to fight to get you out of my property. So I know that's often a surprise for people who have lived in other parts of Mexico, where it was like, oh no, I got a month to month, I got a 3 month lease, I got a 6 month lease. That is not very common
Yeah.
here. So I was curious about that. Always
Mhm.
Kay says that Guadalajara is wonderful and the food is excellent. Would you
Yeah.
agree with that, that the food is excellent?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've actually put on weight since I moved here. I eat so much. We brunch a lot here. It's so many wonderful cafes. That's one thing I love about this neighborhood, Americana. There's just cafes, on every street. You can just walk to them. So the cafes themselves have great food. but you're just not lacking in restaurants. Just around my area at all, it's probably like 10 great restaurants. The food, so as you know, like you mentioned, Mexico has so many different states, and different states specialize in a different food. Their flavors are different. The way they prepare food is different. But I'm finding I really love the local food in Guadalajara, and I just love all the restaurants here as well.
Okay. And I was curious if you had tried or if you knew of any local specialties. The only thing I know of is the, what is it? The ahogada?
Ahogadas, you
You,
see, yes.
okay.
Yes, I actually have not tried that one yet because I'm really scared of a soggy sandwich.
Same, same.
I'm not even gonna, but a friend was telling me she went to a place where like they kind of have it on the side and you can just pour as much as you need. So I haven't tried that yet, but there was a meat dish. I can't think of the name, which was really good. But I love tamales and I had them here. And then when I went to Oaxaca, I was really excited to try the Oaxacan ones. But yeah, I eat whatever's on the street. I'm gonna eat some street food. I just eat. Street tacos are my favorite thing ever.
Okay. All right. Um, uh, okay, I'm gonna hold off on that question. All right, so Auntie Lou wants to know about how hard it is to find black hair products as well as makeup
Okay.
there in Guadalajara.
So there is a Sally Beauty here, and I was surprised when I went in Sally Beauty. They actually had quite a bit of black hair products that we would get in Sally's in the States. But I would say for any black woman, if you're natural, if you wear weaves and wigs, bring enough with you when you first move. Bring your most important things because it's not going to always be that easy to find. But again, there are Afro Mexicans here, so they have curly hair as well, and they require some of those products, so you can find some of the things that you need. And when it comes to makeup, I was in Sephora actually, and I was very shocked at how deep the tones that Sephora carries. They carry my tone of foundation and concealer in Sephora here.
Okay, okay. Um, I don't know if you know the answer to this question. I want to know what city or cities is the Florida in Mexico where
Ooh,
anything goes.
ooh, what would be the Florida? That's a hard one because
I
Florida
don't
is
know.
Florida.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess there are people who would say that about Mexico City, but I don't
Mm.
see it that way. But, you know, some wild shit does happen here, but I don't know.
I have a question for you. Um,
Mhm.
and when I was in the Uber, I'm telling you, Guadalajarans, they're going to always compare their city to Mexico City. But he brought up something about the police in Mexico City. He said, our police are different. They're a lot different in Mexico City. They're a little bit meaner. And I said, I'm always hearing stuff about Mexico City police. The Guadalajara police are really, really chill. So what do you think?
I have not had my interactions with the police here have all been very positive. I had a wallet stolen a couple of months after I moved here while I was at a Starbucks. And unlike in the US, literally, I walked outside and there was a cop walking by, and I was like, my
Mhm.
wallet's been stolen. I need to file a report now. I was interrupting his lunch break, which he was not excited about. And he quickly passed me off to someone else. But, like we got it done. Like now, my expectation was not that they would like apprehend anybody or do anything. You need to bring your expectations down
Right.
for the police work. But my goal was I needed some kind of report so that when I talked to the credit card company and was like, hey, this stuff that these people charged, that was them and that was not me. I needed to be able to back up what I said. And I could do that. On the street, um, the cops have always been nice and helpful. Like I have been on the metro trying to get on the metro bus, which is cashless, and you need to have a card. And these people, I guess they were tourists and they couldn't figure out the machine. And one of the cops was like, here, just use mine,
Oh, wow.
scan their card. And these are people who make, less than $500 a month.
Right.
Um, so I can't say that I've had any issues, but I know that there are certain areas of the city and a group of people with a certain complexion that seem to have issues with cops wanting to shake them down. I have
Mm,
not had that experience. Um, and, like I guess being a Black person from the US, I don't fear that my interaction with a cop here is going to get me shot. Okay.
absolutely. Right.
So if a cop is going to try and shake me down, I am far more likely to be like, no.
Hmm,
And
hmm.
like, if I'm threatened with arrest, okay. Because I know when they try to take me to the precinct, nobody's going to want to do that paperwork. So they're going to turn me loose. I'm far more likely to do that here than I would in the US because I don't know that I would survive that encounter.
Right.
So I would not say that the police are meaner here. I really feel like they are, my interactions have all been, they've been nonplussed. Like, I am here because I need to collect my check. Let
Right.
me talk to my girlfriend on my phone. Let me play on my phone. Don't ask me. You all right? Okay. Sorry about that. So that's been my experience with cops.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
Okay, so we've got some more questions. All right, so somebody said that Tijuana is the Florida. I don't know.
I don't think so. I've been to Tijuana twice, and Florida still got to be. Florida still got to.
All right, let's see. We had a question. Oh wait, where's the other question? Yeah, y'all, everybody's okay over here. We're okay, right? You okay? Okay, yeah, everybody's okay. Okay. Um, how does Guadalajara compare to Merida or Oaxaca? Merida
um,
is said to be very safe.
as far as safety, I know Merida is said to be the safest city or the second safest city. I feel very safe, but I feel very safe here. I'm a solo woman in the city. I go everywhere by myself, but I will say you still have to be diligent and look around and just know that petty crime does happen. It happens here like it happened in Vietnam when I lived there. One of the things, the first things I learned is they do phone snatching here. So if you're out on the corner, say with your phone out like this, people will ride by and they can take your phone. It's happened to a few people I actually know. So that's about the only crime I hear. But again, that literally used to happen in Vietnam. But I feel very safe doing everything by myself. In Oaxaca, the same. I haven't been in Oaxaca long enough. I traveled through the state for 2 weeks, but I felt very safe doing that by myself. I took collectivos, and their version of collectivos in some of the areas was literally a truck with a wooden slab on the back to make it a seat. And so I was on there with locals, men and women and kids, and I felt very safe. So yeah, I think I safe is we're from America. We have been just like we think the worst about Mexico. We really think the worst of the worst, and it's just really not that. It happens, yes, in some places, and if you're into things you should not be into, but I really feel safer here than I would in some cities in America.
It's something I find that Americans seem to be a little obsessed about that. And I haven't figured out whether that obsession is because we are we are from a dangerous country, or
Yeah,
because we've been conditioned to believe other places are so much more dangerous. I
right.
don't know, but um I'm surprised to hear about people getting their phones snatched in Guadalajara,
Mhm.
because I visited Guadal was it Guadalajara? Yeah, it was Guadalajara. I visited Guadalajara the first time while I was living in Honduras. And the thing we were struck by was look at people just standing on the corner using their phone because I couldn't do that in Honduras. I couldn't do that in Tegucigalpa. Here, it is very common for people to walk around and be on their phone and that sort of thing. Now, you might get your phone snatched, like if it's an iPhone on the metro. That's not unheard of. But like just on the
Right.
street, somebody grabbing your phone, I don't think that happens a lot here. I don't think so. So, um, we had a couple of questions.
Propaganda.
Um, okay. Is it a doggy city?
Oh my
Like,
God. Yes. They love their dogs here. Oh gosh. Okay. That I would love to talk about something that I think is absolutely amazing in the city. So on Sundays here, do you guys have Recreativa in Mexico City as well?
I don't know if is that when they close down the street?
Yes, for like
Yes.
2
Okay.
hours.
Because they
So
do it on Reforma every
yes.
Sunday on Reforma from like 8 until 2.
Yes, it's a long time. So something they do here in this city, and I believe it's in Mexico City as well. It's called Activa, and it's basically a time where on Sunday they close down miles of like your main roads in the city from Guadalajara all the way to Zapopan, and that's the time for families to get out, ride bikes, roller skate, walk your dogs. They'll have like jumpy houses. Yes, this Sunday I saw a massage table section. They have a man there to pump your bikes. I walked one day and I went to a park. You had like park rangers learning things. You had EMTs out there. And I mean, it's such a beautiful time. And it happens every Sunday for like 8 hours to close down this big, big street for miles just so families can get out and have some time to spend with each other. And if you are a dog person, like this is the city for you. They love their dogs here, and then you get this Sunday to come out with your dogs as well, and just you see all these dogs interacting. But this is definitely a doggy city. But I just love that. I wish that I'm not. I don't know how many cities in the states might have that, but that was something that stood out to me so much because it just gives people time to reset and get ready for the Monday ahead of them. But you just have some time to be active with your family. So I absolutely love that about here.
All right. We had a question about the mail system.
Mhm.
Have you used it?
I have not, but in compared in comparison to USPS, they have something called Estafeta, and it's basically the cheapest mailing system here that can mail inner city and around the Republic of Mexico as well. So they do have something like it.
I've talked about this before. My experience with the Mexican mail is iffy. Uh,
Okay.
you know, I don't have people send me things because the it's not going to be reliable for me to know if it's going to get here or not. If I'm going to send something or I want somebody to send something to me, it's going to be DHL, FedEx. I have received, like, I have ordered products from Mexican companies and they have sent them Mexipost, Correo
Mhm.
de Mexico. It has arrived, but I hear too many bad things in my own personal experience. So, um,
I think I've
I
been lucky so far.
I wouldn't expect it to be that much different there. Okay. What is a typical day like for you living in Guadalajara?
Okay, a typical day. Really, it's just a day of living my best life. So I get up
Love
in the
it.
morning, live my best life every day. Now I get up in the morning, I do Pilates, and I go to the gym after Pilates, and I do that 3 to 4 times a week. After that, I might walk around and go to the viveros, which is basically the plant nurseries. I am a plant addict, so I go to a lot of viveros. As I said, we brunch a lot here. Most people that live here, they are blessed to either be digital nomads or work in e-commerce or remote jobs. So, we can just call each other up and say, "Hey, are you done with the gym or what are you doing? Let's go to brunch." So I brunch a lot. Hang out with my homegirls. I live in Colonia Americana, but the people that I hang out with the most with are in Providencia and I forgot the name of it, but I'm over there. And then I'm also in school for my master's right now. So after I do all of my personal things, I'll come home and study or go to a Starbucks or go to a cafe. I love to cafe hop. So I love to try out different cafes that just have good Wi-Fi. The Starbucks here are real lit. I went to my first experience at Starbucks. I don't know how I got anything done. It was like salsa music, a lot of people in there interacting, and I'm just like, this is not gonna happen. But other than that, I don't even want to make it seem like I do the most. I'm just so blessed and so grateful for my life that I can wake up and honestly just do whatever I want. But I travel a lot as well. I've taken a 6 month break off from social media and traveling. But like I said, I just did 2 weeks in Oaxaca State, and I'll actually be leaving on, bless you, I'll actually be leaving on Sunday to travel some more. So if I'm not traveling, I'm here just spending my days doing whatever I want, honestly.
Okay. All right. Um, we had a couple of questions about the industry that you are in and work, and I know you just said you took a sabbatical. You took some time off.
Mhm.
Want
Okay.
to
Yes.
talk about that?
So yes, my background, I'm actually retired from the U.S. Army. And I also am in the beauty industry. I sell my own lash extension products online on Amazon and on my own personal site. I'm a licensed esthetician and I do lash extensions. I took a break, but I just decided to start building my clientele here. So that's what I'm working on now. And I'm starting a few other businesses, but what I had been focused on for the past 4 years was building my following on Instagram. I am a travel blogger, but Instagram just kind of turned me off with all the reels. So I realized that I just dedicated way too much time to social media. So I took a 6 month break, which was good for me because, like I said, I'm working on my master's degree now. So that's pretty much what I do.
Okay. All right. Well, we had several comments about your skin and your glow. So, being an esthetician, that kind of explains that.
Yes, take care of y'all. Wear sunscreen. Wear sunscreen. Wear sunscreen. All of us, we need sunscreen.
Okay. All right. Um, Going back to your apartment, how did you find it?
Oh, yes, that's a great one. Okay, so when I went back to the States after spending the 2 months here, I just got on Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, and that's always my go to. That's how I found my place in Vietnam as well. I had found one apartment and I actually went, I'll let you guys know what sunscreen is. But I actually had went to that apartment once I got here because it was still available. That was the apartment I was supposed to sign for, but I was given some advice by a realtor here, and she did tell me it's a group of men in this organization that starts with the C, and they buy a lot of homes and things. So you kind of need to be careful where you're moving to. And for some reason, the man that showed me the apartment and the apartment having cameras inside, some just didn't feel right. My intuition was like, "Girl." So I was supposed to sign for it, but I didn't feel right. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, I got on Facebook Marketplace and this apartment popped up. And I'm like, no way. It was $100 over my budget, but I'm like, I just asked the lady, can I please come see it early in the morning because I'm supposed to sign for another apartment. When I walked in here, I just said, I'll take it. I got some cash on me to deposit. Let me give you this money so you know I'm for real. She told me I needed to sign a year lease. But I asked her, I said, could you please ask the owner, could I just sign for 6 months? She called the owner right here and they said yes. And I got the apartment.
Okay. All right. Um, and somebody wanted to know, like, how does the rent compare? I already can assume it's going to be significantly more than it was in Vietnam.
Yes. If I'm comparing it to my first apartment in Vietnam, I pay $600 more than that. So, what I will say, and I used to say the same thing for Vietnam, everybody has their own personal budget. I spend a lot of time at home. For me, my apartment is my sanctuary. I love to be at home. I'm going to always look for an apartment that suits me. So I knew a lot of my budget would go to my apartment. When I started looking around Guadalajara, that's when I learned that this is a pretty affluent city. I live in the penthouse. My neighbor is a doctor. So you got to understand people here are willing to spend money on apartments, especially if you want a good apartment. I still spend for this the apartment that I have. I know it will be double or even triple in the States without question. The prices in Houston look like California right now. So I'm really happy to pay this for what I have. But I also have a friend that lives kind of in the south of the city. He pays significantly less than what I have. So what I would say is just have a budget in your mind, know what how you're comfortable living, and look for things in your budget. You will always find something in your budget. There's a budget for apartments for everybody.
Okay. All right. Um, what kind of outdoor activities are there?
Yes. So again, you have the Activa event every Sunday. So a lot of people here skate, they ride their bikes, a lot of jogging around the city. Me personally, something that I just absolutely love from being outside of America is just the time to focus on my self growth, whether that's physically, spiritually, and mentally. I go to Pilates. I started Pilates this year. I've always been a gym rat, but the gym memberships are pretty cheap here. I go to a pretty nice gym for a good price. But Pilates, as we know, Pilates in the States can cost quite a bit. And I found Pilates here to be very cheap. So I'm like, let me do Pilates. But anything you want to do outside, there's actually hiking outside the city as well. This city has a lot of parks, which I love. So I've gone to the park, I've done stretching, I've done yoga, had a little picnic in the park. So there's a lot of outdoor activities.
Okay. All right. We had a question about what kind of sunscreen do you wear? We had two questions about that.
I'm gonna get that for y'all. It's in my bathroom. I can't think of the name, but I would love to share it with you. It's right on Amazon, and it's a great light one. So I'll give it to you.
Okay. Okay. Was your apartment furnished or unfurnished?
Yes, one of my criteria was my apartment absolutely had to be furnished because I didn't know how long I was staying. So it was furnished, and then since moving in, I've added more to it.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm curious when you were looking at apartments and they were furnished, were you finding them to meet your needs aesthetically?
This apartment, I'll be honest, it was so dope.
Okay.
I walked in and I'm like, you're kidding me. One of the things I knew I wanted was a really good view. My view is absolutely amazing. The aesthetics of the apartment, I probably would have decorated a little differently, but from what they had already, it was nice. This little baby couch is gonna go. But other than that, everything, I mean, I really got it's a 2 bedroom, 2 bath. My bedroom's bed is a California king. It's huge.
Oh,
So
wow.
we did a really good job with this apartment.
Okay. Now, how did that compare to the other places you saw?
So I only looked at two other places. The first one was in Chapalita, and it was a 2 bedroom, 2 bath furnished as well. That one was really, really nice. And I almost got that one. It had two balconies, but it just didn't have the view that I wanted. But I kept that one in mind. And then again, the second one, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, it had a balcony as well, but the view just wasn't there. And then, I had those second thoughts about that one. But all of them were 2 bedroom, 2 baths, fully furnished. And I mean, that second one was decorated to the nines. Like they didn't,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Because one of the reasons that I ended up, my first apartment was furnished, but this apartment was unfurnished because I wanted to to get something furnished. But all of the furnished ones I saw, the aesthetics just, their choice of furniture just did not, it didn't work for me. This is 2020. I don't know when we're going to be locked down again. So it was like, if I'm going to be stuck inside of a place, I want it to be someplace that I am comfortable, that I like. So,
Right.
yeah, it didn't work out. Okay. So we have this question from Grace Realty Group. You mentioned the phone snatching being an issue. As a result of traveling with a toddler, I'm constantly distracted, which worries me. What advice, if any, do you have for solo parents traveling?
So what I personally do, I was robbed in Sri Lanka and I just never thought that would happen. So that changed the way I moved as well as just a solo traveler by myself. So I know that you have a child. I started wearing my book bag to the front of me, just so it's just not on my back, so I can always see my stuff. But what I do with my phone, I have two. What a lot of people do now is they will buy just a throwaway phone, a little Mexican phone to take with them when they're outside. I'm kind of attached to my iPhone because I take my pictures and I have to upload to Instagram with it. But whenever I'm getting ready to leave my apartment, I look to where I have to go. I'm like, okay, it's 3 streets. I put my phone back in my purse. Then if I need to look at the directions again, I kind of duck off into a little restaurant or a cafe, look where I have to go and keep going. And it's not you just can't walk around with it, but like on the corner, if you're just on the corner, like with your phone up here, that's when I hear the bikers will just come by and snatch it. But you just got to be alert. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, when I lived in Honduras, I didn't take my phone out in public. Like you said, I would look at where I was going before I got there. You know, I want to make sure that whatever the openings are in my bag, they're either in the front of me or, things have zippers on them. Nothing is just open. Um, Things like my phone or my money, I'm keeping that on my person, as close to my person as possible. And like, I do this everywhere, not just Mexico, but everywhere, including the US. Like, I don't keep all of my money together. I'm going to keep like this $5 or this 100 pesos in my pocket in case somebody does want to rob me. I can give them that, but that's not where I'm going to keep the bulk of the money. Or I'm going to keep the credit cards separate from the cash in case they get me for the cash. At least I'll still have the credit card. But like I said, I move through the world like that everywhere, not just here in Mexico. Um, we had okay, D Watt said that Guadalajara is a city. I'm from Chicago, so I needed things to do, good food, kind people, community that is very supportive. And also said that I need to come back and hook up with everybody. Like I said, I have not ruled it out, but it didn't grab me the way Mexico City did.
We
Um,
can do it up for you when you come back. Just let us know. We're going to make sure you have a good time when you come back.
okay, all right. Um, Folks want to know.
I'm single, y'all. I'm single.
Okay, all right. Um, there is a question here about rent. I suspect that you're in the penthouse, so I assume you're paying a premium.
Mhm.
Uh, and I would imagine, I know that the last time I looked at rent there, it was like okay, tell me this: 20,000 pesos, $1,000.
Mhm.
What could somebody expect to get for that?
Um, I mean, not too far under this. I would say I'm looking at the prices steadily go up. I will say that in my lease alone, the rent was actually posted a whole 1,000 pesos more. But maybe it didn't get rented. And then when I started, I'm like, I asked them, could they go down 1,000 pesos? And they said no. So I'm like, it's fine, I'll take it. But I will say that the rent is going up in the city. I see people posting everything is like 24, 25, 22, 23, 20, and that's pretty much
That's a
that's in my
lot.
range. So but it's still I get it. It's high because some people are not gonna want to leave the States and pay $1,000. But again, you don't have to. You do not have to. If you have your budget, if you know what you want, I have friends who do not pay nearly as much as I pay for rent, and they are very, very happy in their apartments. But I
Okay.
will say Guadalajara, if you want something nice, do expect to pay at least 800 to 1,500.
Okay. All right. Um, how is dating while being an expat? And you can answer this question specifically
Mhm.
for Guadalajara or however you want to answer it.
Okay. Well, I'm just stepping back into the dating scene. So I made a Bumble because I was told that Bumble and Tinder is the way that most people date. My Bumble is bumbling. Whatever Bumble is supposed to do, it's doing. But I haven't personally been on a date. But for my friends that I know, they date kind of with no problem. I will say the men here are not. Some of it's a weird shyness they have, a shyness where maybe they won't exactly walk up to you, but they will stare a hole through your face. So if you are that woman who does not mind approaching men, you will get the stares and then sis, go do your thing. I do not approach men. I'm scary like that. But I will tell you, I get complimented so much here. I mean, I feel like the most beautiful thing walking because I get complimented left and right. And I do think when I'm decided to take Bumble serious, I've been asked out on many dates. So, and I know Black women who date local men. I know a Black woman, hey, Mo, that has married a Mexican man. So I don't think it's that hard.
Okay. All right. I think I have hit pretty much all of the questions we had. So you have been in Guadalajara since
March of
Mar-
this year.
okay, March 2022.
Hmm.
Okay. And do you anticipate being there for the foreseeable future? Are you thinking that you're ready to kind of bop around a little bit more? Want to check out some more
Yeah.
places?
Okay, so what I will say is I have given myself 2 years to live here. I do not want to leave until I'm fluent in Spanish. That's going to make me either buckle up and learn or just stay here longer. My ultimate goal is to move back to Asia. I love Asia. That's just kind of my place. So I'll be moving to a new country over there. But I like Guadalajara so much that I've been moving around my whole life. Not only was I in the military, I'm an Army brat. So I moved around every 3 to 4 years. It's all I know. And as an adult, it's really all I knew. But for some reason, Guadalajara has like sucked me in. I just genuinely love it here. I love my friends that I have here. I love my life here. I love my daily activities. I love my apartment. And it's kind of been the reason that I've just slowed down on traveling so much because it feels good to sit still and I enjoy my life here. So, yeah.
No, I was just having that conversation with somebody on IG. They've just moved to Merida and they are loving it and talking about like not feeling the need to always be gone.
Yes.
And that is something I have noticed being back in Mexico City previously, and including when I lived in the US. If I was not traveling somewhere to some new country every month, like I
Mm,
would get jittery. And
right.
now it's more like, well, no, I'd kind of rather just be home in the city, doing the things that I do in the city. I don't feel as pressed about traveling. So I totally, totally get that. Now, how are you working on becoming fluent in Spanish?
Okay, so I was using Duolingo and then Cambly, I believe, but just this Sunday, I got a number from a girl that's in Argentina, and she has an amazing rate. And I have two friends that use her, and their Spanish is like really, really good. So I said, I love her rate. I'm going to get with her. And now I think I will probably do 30 minutes to an hour a day for like maybe 4 to 5 days a week. But I have to get serious about it. The locals here, they love if you say one sentence, just be ready for them to come back with a whole conversation. And I'm like, no, I'm not ready yet. So I really need to buckle down on my Spanish.
Um, are how do you feel about the Argentinian accent?
Oh my gosh. That's now that you say that, I did meet someone here that learned his Spanish in Argentina and he told me he had to kind of change a lot of words. So we'll see.
Yeah.
He teaches Mexican Spanish. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, if it's somebody who's aware of the fact that Argentinian Spanish is, like a little different, that's fine. Like I had to stop lessons in September because I have been almost traveling every 2 weeks since
Okay.
then. And it was just like I was not gonna try and coordinate uh lessons when I'm in Norway while she's in Honduras. I wasn't gonna do the math.
Yeah.
So I'll get back into it probably in the new year. But my teacher is Honduran, and so it. I've started taking lessons again when I got back here in July of or August of 2020, and it's better. I'm just not as good as I would like to be.
Right.
So
We'll get there.
um,
We'll get
yeah,
there.
if I would be willing to talk to people, my Spanish would come along a whole lot
That's
faster.
it. And they tell you just say what you know. And I'm like, it's gonna be all wrong, sir.
Oh, it often is. Like today, I was trying to ask for crunchy bacon with the word I know I have been using,
But
and
you
she was
know,
like, "What?" And I was like, "Crujiente, crujiente," and she was like, "Huh?" And I'm like, "I know that's the word."
for crunchy,
Yes.
is it crujiente?
Yeah. And
Okay.
then I tried to switch it up and I was like, "Can you make the bacon hard, muy duro?" And then she looked at me like, "What the hell is she talking about?" And I was
Did you
like, "Come
say
on."
Katrina?
Yes. Yes. I
Okay,
was
because you started
like
talking, what are you talking about?
I was like, "Puedo tener el tocino muy crujiente."
Okay,
Like
okay.
so she should have gotten it, but and so that of course messes with my confidence
Yes,
because I'm like,
yes.
well, am I not saying the word right? Is this not the right word? So it's
You
a
have
thing.
to say tocino. I say tocino.
So I don't know. And then like I ordered something from the grocery store and she called because they didn't have what I wanted. And I was like, I'm trying to describe to this woman a thing in a language with words I don't have.
It's tough. It's
It's
tough.
yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. Okay. You are getting ready to try. Are you going to be because they're asking about traveling for thing or what are we doing for Thanksgiving?
Oh, yes.
Um
There's so many parties going on and dinners. So I know I'm going to at least two dinners, and then I'll be traveling 3 days after Thanksgiving.
yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow, so there is no Thanksgiving for me. It's cool though. It's not a big deal. Um okay. I think I think we've covered everything. If y'all got any last minute questions, now would be the time to ask
Let
them.
me put a list. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I think
Okay.
we have covered most of this. Where am I going? I'm going to Cuba. That's where I'm going. So I'm gonna be incognito for a few days because there is no internet and there is no cell service.
All right. How long will you be gone? Do you know? Or you just one way it?
No, I'll be back at the beginning of next week.
Okay.
Okay. Where'd you get your hair done?
I do it.
Okay. All right. Um, you have you've only been there since March, so you probably don't know like how cold.
Yeah, no,
Well,
actually, I
no.
asked my realtor. It doesn't get that cold at all. So she told me that this is it. She said October is the best month. They love October. November gets a little chilly, but when I tell y'all, I know my body is just different from the locals. They have full coats on, and us foreigners are like, "Where are y'all going?" I'll be out in a t-shirt, shorts, flip flop. It's just not cold at all. But yesterday was the first time it felt chilly, and I just grabbed a jean jacket. But when I say it's not cold, but when I did move here in March at night, in March it did get a lot more chilly at night.
Yeah. It's always wild because you can't just look out the window and see how people are dressed
Right.
because if they are local, they are going to have on a like today this morning. was a little cooler than the previous mornings. And I'm looking outside, and this woman's got her whole head wrapped in a scarf, and she's got
Yes,
her winter coat on. And I was like, I'm debating short sleeve shirt or hoodie. And this woman looks like she's going to the great Arctic. So,
yes.
you know,
Yesterday, the man had a scarf on, pink coat. I mean, he looked straight out of Chicago, like it was Windy City, and I literally had a dress on with strap sandals. I'm
yeah,
like, where are you going?
yeah. So, so yeah, I don't know. The first year that I lived here, it actually got down to freezing. And with the way everybody was reacting in the media, I got the impression that doesn't happen very often because they had to close schools
Wow.
because it is often much colder inside than it is outside.
Mhm.
So you can imagine if it got down to freezing, and these are buildings made out of cinder block, no insulation, really, really cold inside. Last year, the 2 winters I've been back, I have not used my heater at all. Um, so I don't know if it's going to be cold, or if we no longer get cold like that because of global
Global.
warming.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I don't know. Okay. I know it's not that cold here. Right now my computer says it's 67. This morning it was in the 50s, and it was cloudy. So I was
Mm,
like, okay, I'll go with a hoodie instead of like a shirt and a jacket and all of that. But I think it got up to like maybe 73, 74 today.
okay, okay. Yeah, I
So
keep my like as you see here, my balcony normally is actually open more than that. It's a nice, just a little breeze, nothing freezing.
okay. All right. So if you have really been wanting to know about Guadalajara and you were tired of me bad mouthing it, here you have heard from Alexis what her experience is there, as well as some people in the chat who seem to love it. So if you are looking for a city, but that has kind of a quaint small town vibe, I can't promise you that Mexico City can give you that, but quite possibly it sounds like Guadalajara can.
This is the place.
All
Yes.
right. All right. Well, thank you for hanging out with us tonight, Alexis. We very much appreciate you sharing all of your knowledge and your experience with us. Um, those of you who are here with us tonight, and the people I talked to on Instagram today, as you are starting to get inundated with these Black Friday sales, remember, don't be out there spending money that you do not have. And before you make a purchase, make sure that you ask yourself, is this in alignment with the life that I want to live? Okay, y'all. Don't get crazy. Don't get stupid with all of these sales. Kind of stay with your plan. And I'll see y'all when I get back from Cuba.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.